Did you hear that like 22 million of the world's population is under 5 years old, is overweight or obese?
Yeah, I heard it's like 1 in 3 children are overweight now.
It's because too many children are indoors playing video games and not outside exercising.
And children who are overweight can be put at risk to have liver damage, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes.
They can also suffer from bone and joint problems, or even depression too.
Overweight children are also prone to low self-esteem because of being made fun of in school.
Well, what can we do about this?
Well, I heard there's a local event taking place in area grocery stores.
Yeah, it can help parents stop overweight problems for themselves and their kids.
Okay, but how do I find out more about this?
You can start by watching Education Today,
Which
starts now.
Welcome to Education Today. I'm John Zish from the Armstrong School District. As you may know, Armstrong County has an energetic and motivated group of organizations who are working hard to fight childhood obesity. That group is called Healthy Armstrong, which stands for Healthy Eating and Active Lifestyles, together helping youth. We're very excited to announce that Healthy Armstrong has begun a county-wide effort to promote healthy eating at grocery stores near you. This campaign, the Healthy Recipe of the Week, features grocery store displays at select area grocery stores that provide families and individuals healthy, tasty recipes to help them understand the importance of proper food choices and nutritional content. With us tonight, we have Jody Beers of the ACMH Hospital Foundation. We also have Dr. Patricia Kluss of the UPMC Health Plan, and we also have Brad Bowers, a physical education teacher from West Hills Intermediate School. Welcome to Education Today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Sure. Would you please introduce each of yourselves and give us a brief background about yourselves?
Sure. I am a clinical psychologist at the University of Pittsburgh and a consultant with UPMC Health Plan. I've been very involved with the Healthy Armstrong project since its beginning. And one of my areas of interest is childhood obesity and healthy, active living for children, but also, of course, that means for families.
Thank you, Dr. Kluss. Appreciate that.
I'm Jody Beers. I'm the Executive Director of the ACMH Foundation. This project was actually started when I started my position at the ACMH Hospital. So it's very exciting to be involved in this project and to see where it's gone and how it's grown.
Very nice. Thank you.
My name is Brad Bowers. I'm a health and physical education teacher at West Hills Intermediate, and I'm also the wellness coordinator, and I've been with the wellness program since it started. I guess what are we at now? 3 years?
3 years.
3 years we've been going. So
A lot of good things coming out of that group, Healthy Armstrong. Thank you, Brad, for being here.
thank you for having me.
Well, let's start off with some details about the Healthy Recipe of the Week campaign. Jody, can you please give us the overview of what it is, how it started, and its goals?
Sure. It was actually started, and these two could probably give you a little bit more history.
Sure, chime in.
Was started prior to my coming on board. The ACMH Foundation and Hospital did supply the displays, which were built by Lenape Tech students. So they're 6 foot by 3 foot displays that are in 5 different grocery stores throughout the area.
And how about, can either of you two share some of the origins of the
Sure,
project and why
yeah.
it was started?
I think it's important because this Healthy Recipe of the Week is part of a larger county-wide project that actually started with a focus in the school system a couple of years ago, trying to work with the physical education teachers, and Brad's been a very robust part of that to improve the kinds of and amounts of physical activity that the children are engaging in during school hours and after school hours, helping teach the children via the health classes and other classes about healthy eating and healthy choices. So a lot of focus on the school. The foundation has had some, I'm sure many of your listeners and watchers know about the walks in the springtime, et cetera.
Yes.
So we decided this year that it was time to kind of take that out in a broader way to families, and one of the ways to do that is to help families, and particularly the grocery shoppers in the family, get some new ideas for good, tasty, healthy foods that their families might enjoy.
Okay.
And therefore, we've got the Healthy Recipe of the Week project.
Right.
And what we try to do at West Hills Intermediate. When we get our kids, we try to get our kids involved in the wellness program. We actually had the parents come in and meet with Dr. Altman, and he educated the parents about how important it is for them to get involved in not only the physical activity, but the eating. And Dr. Altman spent probably an hour with all the parents telling them about eating healthy and trying to get the parents on board. Because if we can get the kids on board and the parents are not on board, you know, we're going to have some problems. So we're trying to get all the parents to participate in this program also. And the doctors are educating them on eating right and the exercise and childhood obesity and things. So not only are we going after the kids, but we're going after the parents of the kids, trying to get them on board.
It truly does start at home, and schools can supplement that for sure. Appreciate the efforts you've put into this. So with going back to the Healthy Recipe of the Week campaign, what stores are participating? Where can we see these displays?
Yes, we have 5 local grocery stores, and it's really exciting because when you go into the grocery stores, the people who own the grocery stores are so excited. You know, it's really interesting to go in. You never know how they're going to react, and they've been so helpful and so excited. But we have the Foodlands in Katanning and Ford City. We have the Katanning Shop and Save. We have Toys Golden Dawn, and we have Sprinkles Market in Leechburg.
Very nice.
So those are the 5 stores. And it's interesting because I happened to be in one of the stores this week, and they're like, we need more recipes. It was Wednesday, and they were out. So it's really taking and rolling, so it's wonderful.
So there's a quantity of recipes that you stock them with.
Yes. Actually, the recipes, and this is a sample of one of the recipes, are printed from UPMC Health Plans, kind enough to print those all. They send them to me, and then I distribute them to the grocery stores.
Very nice. Well, how will the average shopper benefit from seeing these displays? Does anyone have any ideas on that?
Well, sure. Let me take one. I think what we've tried to do, and the UPMC Health Plan has engaged one of our dietitians there to take regular recipes that people enjoy, that children tend to enjoy, and look through those and you know, make changes where necessary to make it as healthy as possible while still being tasty. So what this project is about really is giving families, the adults, the parents, the shoppers in the family, ideas as they're in the grocery store with their shopping list in hand of, well, that looks kind of good. I might try that with the recipe right there. You know, easy access to the foods that it would take to try things out. What we're hoping parents will do is get interested in, you know, making little changes, you know, trying out a new recipe along with everything else on the table at dinner being the family's, you know, old favorites. But here's one new thing to try. And if the recipe this week doesn't intrigue you, you know, maybe the one next week or the week after that will.
And I had the good fortune to see a recipe for cran apple crisp recently. And you know, that's a standard around this time of year.
Right.
And I think it's something that's very approachable and easy for families to make, but it also had that healthy twist on it.
Right.
I guess it had less eggs or fat content or something like that.
And I think that's the point. That's a good example of a recipe, because we're not talking here, you know, carrots and lettuce are wonderful, healthy foods, and people should eat lots of those. But we also know that families, and particularly children, aren't going to exist on carrots and lettuce. There's lots of foods that are healthy to eat. And if you're going to have a dessert, you know, there's a dessert with 1,000 calories a serving, or there's, you know, cran apple crisp, which is tasty and seasonal, that family members will probably enjoy as well. And that's you know, a little bit healthier with, you know, more nutrition and less calories than something else you might choose. So.
Right, and some of the recipes also were geared around the holidays.
Right.
You know, if it's around Thanksgiving, there's a recipe for turkey patties. So you can use some of those leftovers. Things aren't going to waste, and you can eat them in a healthy way. And with the help of Luann Fee from the school district and Sharon McKelvey, who also were very instrumental in picking the recipes.
Very nice. Well, Jody, have you heard any feedback from customers or grocers about the displays?
The grocers love it. Absolutely love it.
That's great.
Yeah, it's exciting to be involved in a program that when you go into one of the establishments, they're so open-armed and so excited, and it gets everyone excited.
Right. They're the front lines
Exactly,
in this initiative.
exactly.
So, right, you need them on board. That's good to hear. Well, how does this initiative meet Healthy Armstrong's goals with regards to fighting childhood obesity? You've kind of touched on that, but
Sure. And again, just a little bit of history. The reason this Healthy Armstrong got started was, I guess it was 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
Now, when the state mandated that all the schools in the fall of the year measure children's height and weight to try to get a handle on
Their BMIs.
on their their body mass index, or BMI, which is just a kind of a fancy way of telling how children are meeting benchmarks for healthy weight for their height and their gender. What was found that first year was actually pretty shocking. That in Armstrong County, the percentage of children starting in first grade all the way up through sixth grade who were overweight and obese was higher than the national average. And the national average is shockingly high these days. I'm sure everybody knows that we have a crisis of health in the form of childhood obesity in our country these days that's translating to all kinds of medical problems for children that we don't want them to have. So that was the impetus, that the children in Armstrong County, on the average, more of them are already overweight, and again, at very young ages. So that brought this group of doctors and the hospital and the school district and other stakeholders together to try to make a difference. And so this healthy recipe piece is a very important part of that.
very nice. Well, is the Healthy Recipe of the Week campaign more aimed at adults or youth or both? And why is that?
I think you pretty much touched on that, Brad, with trying to not only get the children involved, but the parents.
Getting the parents involved. They see these recipes and try different things and see if their kids, and we have a big problem with fast foods, and we hit on that. But the parents, they have to try different things, and we give them these ideas, these recipes, and some of them they're taking off, and the kids are trying new things, different things that they normally wouldn't eat, and saying, hey, this is okay, this is good, I like it. And they're starting to eat a little more healthier is what we're doing. So the parents are the ones that go out and shop and then have to buy the food. So those are the ones that we're trying to target. They have to bring the good food home for the kids to try different things. So that's what this recipe is all about.
And Jonathan, if I could add something to that. The research literature on childhood obesity, and particularly the treatment literature, the literature, research that's looked at how children who are already overweight can lose weight, is very clear that that doesn't happen unless the whole family is involved. And that what doesn't work is to target, if you have 3 children and one of them is overweight, what doesn't work is to say, oh, you overweight kid, Timmy, you have to eat differently than everybody else in the family because you have to lose weight. That really does not work for a variety of reasons. And that what really does work is when the whole family, including the adults, whether they're overweight or not, and the other children in the family kind of take on bit by bit healthier ways of eating, as well as, of course, trying to increase physical activity. So, and without the parents being involved, particularly for younger children, but even for older children, we sometimes think, oh, they don't care what parents think, but that's not so. When there's healthy food in the house, when there's healthier food being prepared, when little by little parents are helping change the food atmosphere in the family, children can make these changes and even make changes sometimes that you wouldn't expect they'd put up with, but they will if it's a whole family effort. And that's what we're trying to do by putting this great information in grocery stores at the point which people are buying the stuff that's going to end up on the table.
And the parents have to lead by example.
Right.
If they're not eating healthy, the kids aren't going to eat healthy, and we know that. It all starts with the parents. They bring the food home, and it's up to them. They have to get it in the mindset that they're going to eat healthy, and the kids will follow along.
Right.
Right. Now on these displays, the top part of the display is all the dry ingredients along with the recipe. And then there are signs throughout the stores telling them this is an ingredient for the Healthy Armstrong Recipe of the Week. So it kind of guides them through the grocery store to the items of the ingredients.
Well, how long will these displays be displayed?
Well, right now we have recipes being printed at UPMC Health Plan through the end of June. And we are hoping to continue past that.
Wow. And what recipes will we see over the months, and how are they chosen?
Okay, one of our past recipes was this cranberry pumpkin muffins, which sounds wonderful to me. There's vegetarian chili, tuna apple salad, colorful quesadillas, garden barley soup. There's just so many different items. Unfried chicken is another one. So they're very interesting recipes that were chosen.
Question, is it too soon to talk about future plans for this Healthy Recipe of the Week campaign?
Well, we're thinking about that. It's a good question. You know, we have a steering committee that meets quite frequently during the school year. Right, we're meeting again Monday. That really is the organization that is leading this initiative. And again, it's exciting that it's made up from really key stakeholders from around the county. So we'll be talking about where to take this. I think one thing we'll be interested in is hearing from customers at the grocery stores, hearing from parents who tried the recipe. You know, how did it work? Which ones did you like? Which ones would you change? I think that will help us figure out on the recipe part where to go from here.
Hopefully it takes off.
Right.
We'll have to see how the response is. But if it's good, then this could go on for a while.
Right.
And Monday's actually our first meeting since the displays were put in.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to hear the feedback.
This is very exciting. We're going to take a short break from Armstrong School District's education today, and we'll be right back. As you can see, we have a good one going tonight. So we have some experts on the show talking about wellness and the Healthy Armstrong Healthy Recipe of the Week campaign. Stick around.
Before I came to IUP, I had no idea what college would be like or what role I would play or where I'd be in the future. But when I came to IUP, everything changed. I met people who really made me feel like I belonged. I had great classes at a great nationally ranked university. Hi, my name is Megan Miller. I'm a fine arts major, and this is my university.
We're back with Armstrong School District's Education Today. We're talking about the Healthy Armstrong Healthy Recipe of the Week campaign. This initiative is all about healthy eating, and I understand that, Dr. Kless, your specialty is behavioral changes, lifestyle changes, and overcoming the challenges. What are some of the challenges that people come up against when trying to make lifestyle changes for the better?
Mm-hmm. And you want me to answer that in 30 seconds or less, I imagine? You know,
you can have 60 seconds.
I want to emphasize, talking to the parents and the children out there, you know, being a parent is hard. Being a kid is busy and has its challenges. So I think parents and, you know, people who are trying to make important behavior changes often make two mistakes. And one is trying to change everything all at once, getting real enthusiastic and saying, all right, I'm going to take everything out of my cupboards and stock up with new stuff. And the other mistake is getting overwhelmed and saying, you know, my life is so busy and stressful, it's impossible, I can't make any changes. And those are both mistakes, although they're well-meaning ones, because, you know, things don't happen with either side of that. So we're really encouraging parents to not take on everything, but to look at what how your family eats, and also with Brad here, I'm reminded, you know, how your family moves or doesn't move in a given week, and see what small changes you can make. Do one thing that you all agree we're 90% sure we could do that, or 95% sure. You know, when we look at food records of children who are overweight, where they record for, you know, a few days or a week, you know, what we find is that children are eating thousands and thousands more calories per week than they're burning in activity. And so there are, you know, that could be the bad news, but I prefer to look at it in a way as the good news when you're talking about change, because there's lots of changes that would make a difference in that. You know, I've talked to parents, in fact, most of the time when I talk to parents, they say, don't even talk to me about changing X. And what X is different from family to family, but it's you know, some food or some thing that maybe they know isn't so healthy, but it's embedded in the family and they're not going to change it. And my answer to that is always fine. Absolutely, don't even think about changing that. But how about, you know, something else? And when we ask that question, say, well, you know, actually we might be able to change this. And that's a change, if they make it, would make a difference, maybe hundreds of calories difference per week. So that's what we're encouraging families to do, is to just look at what your lifestyle is, you know, the kinds of foods that you're serving, that your children are eating. You know, what small change could you try this week? Maybe it's trying the new recipe of the week. Maybe it's trying the one that comes out next week. But that's a way that has a chance to work, and building on small successes over time can add up to big changes over time.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, right.
That's excellent. I was curious to know what health problems you see at UPMC Health Plan with regards to childhood obesity.
Well, you know what, it's not just at UPMC Health Plan, but I just read an article, I think in the paper last week, that the prevalence of type 2 diabetes in adults has doubled in the last 10
Juvenile
years.
diabetes is
in
out
the
of
last
control.
10 years. And, you know, that's a statistic, but when you think about what that means, and unfortunately our young children who are overweight, we used to call that adult onset diabetes, but we had to change the name a few years ago to type 2 diabetes, because unfortunately this problem that used to not happen until people were adults, and often pretty significantly into their adult years, is now being seen in children as young as 13, 14, 15. And these are problems that shorten people's lives. These are serious problems that leads to heart attacks, stroke, blindness, you know, all kinds of problems that we don't want our children to have early on in their life. So it's really very scary when you look at the health consequences, not to mention the maybe less dramatic but just as important ones, that children who are overweight can't participate with their peers in activities. Sometimes they're teased. You know, there's self-esteem and psychological consequences of that as well. So it's really important for us to be tackling this as a county and as a country.
Are there any statistics about Armstrong County and childhood obesity? Does anyone know of any?
Well, again, those first school statistics, you know,
not good.
Nationally we know that about 30% of children in this country are either overweight or obese, which is, again, a measure of comparing how their height to how much they weigh depending upon their gender. And the first year in Armstrong County, I believe the statistics were closer to 35%. You know, more than one of every 3 children in this county is overweight or obese. So it's a
big problem.
It's a problem, a serious problem.
Brad, as you well know and constantly speak to in your physical education classes, physical activity is a major guardian against childhood obesity. Do you have any ideas on why physical activity seems to be harder to come by for today's children?
I've been asking the kids this week in my health classes, and I asked why some of you don't exercise, or why you don't go out, and a lot of them said, truthfully, it's technology. So, Mr. Bowers, when we go home, you know, a lot of times, you know, it's not. I'm watching 3 hours of TV, I'm in front of the computer for an hour, I'm on the Xbox, and it's technology that these kids are going home and they're not going outside like we didn't have the internet, and we were out playing all the time. And these kids said a lot of times when they go home, they're going right to the computer, they're going right to the Xbox, and that's how they're putting their time in when they're not in school. And I try to tell them, I only have the kids for 40 minutes of phys ed during the day. During the week, they get 40 minutes, and then we have our wellness program. And I try to tell them, you know, you got to take this outside. When you go home, things that you're learning here, you got to go home and use it. You're not going to get physically fit 40 minutes a week in my class. And I try to tell them, you know, health, and we're going over the heart and health class this week, and it's pretty interesting. Yesterday I found out a fact. Every 3 seconds in the United States, a person dies of a heart attack. Every 3 seconds, a person's dying, and it's the #1 killer of Americans. And I try to tell them the heart's a muscle, and we all know what it takes to get a muscle. You know, you have to exercise. And I just tell them how important that exercise is. I mean, I tell them that you want to live a long and happy and healthy life, and it all starts with exercise. Get out and move. I mean, you don't have to join a gym, and there's so many things around this area. And I was trying to tell them how many kids have gone on the rails to trails and just walked with their parents, you know, and half the class said they've been on it. I said, how many people have, you know, been in the Y? And it's amazing how many kids have never been in the Y. And how many people use the Belmont, the skating, the swimming. And I just try to, it's not expensive. I mean, you can go out and walk and exercise and do different things, and it's not expensive. And I try to tell them that And we do, and certain things we do with our wellness programs, we take the kids bowling, we take the kids skating and swimming, and we try to teach them lifetime skills that after school's over, get into bowling or get into ice skating or whatever. But you got to move. I mean, you got to move, and I try to tell them, you know, if you're going to take in a lot of calories, then you got to exercise. You got to burn them. If you're taking in 3,000 calories, then you better be burning 4 or you're going to be gaining weight. So
We all know that after Halloween.
That's right, and the holiday season coming up, it's going to be tough.
Well, one thing the school district is also doing is opening up the schools for walking in the evening, which will help getting the parents involved.
Yeah, especially
Which
in
I
some of
think's
the other
wonderful.
communities where they're not close to the YMCA.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. What are some solutions for families who want to become more physically active but find it difficult? Are those mostly just excuses, or are they legitimate?
Well, you know, and I asked the kids why. I said, how many of you actually exercise as a family ever? And not many of them said, as a family, you mean the whole family? I'm like, yeah, the whole family, you know. How many of you exercise, you know, once a day, once a week, whatever? And it was amazing. I said, it doesn't take that much to go out and take a walk. I mean, it's so important that, you know, mom and dad, they both work. When they come home, they're tired. They don't want to exercise. You got to find time. It's such an important thing that they have to find time. Whether it's walking 20 minutes a day, you know, doing push-ups while you're watching TV, doing sit-ups, little things like that. I mean, it's important for the parents to find time to get these kids moving.
Right.
I mean, it's crucial, crucial.
And could I add something to that too? Again, one thing that the research literature shows, and you alluded to both of these, but I want to be clear about that, is increasing active physical behavior is important, but just as important, and as it turns out, maybe even sometimes more important, is decreasing sedentary behavior, decreasing the time that children spend sitting. And you would think those are the same thing, but as it turns out, they're not. So the example, you know, sitting in front of the TV or the computer for 3 hours, which often is associated with having a bag of chips or, you know, junk food that you're eating as well. It would be great to get up and go out and walk as a family, and we do absolutely encourage that. And if that's not a possibility right then, you know, a parent calling the child and say, hey, come help me fold laundry. You know, getting up from a sitting position to go do something that isn't actually active physical behavior, but that isn't sitting behavior, actually is a key factor in changing rates of children who are overweight as well. So they're both important.
And one thing, it's funny, the kids said that since we all know the gas prices are up, a lot of the kids said, you know, we walk more than we used to. And it was because of, you know, instead of driving down to the grocery store, you know, we walk now, or we walk down to Sheets, and that's a good thing that comes out of the gas. You know, if we can find anything, the kids or the parents are saying, I'm putting the keys away and we're walking, you know, and it's economic. Yeah, so that's one good thing about the high gas prices.
I'll tell you what, I've had a very good time listening to you guys give expert advice to our students and families. I appreciate the work that you're doing for our students and all of our physical education teachers are doing.
Thank you.
As well as this Healthy Armstrong Steering Committee, comprised of so many great partners, UPMC Health Plan, ACMH Hospital, Armstrong School District, many others, too numerous to mention here. Unfortunately, we're out of time today, so I would like to thank you all for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Our guests, Jody Beers of ACMH Hospital Foundation, Dr. Patricia Kluss of UPMC Health Plan, and Brad Bowers, a physical education teacher from West Hills Intermediate School, for giving of their busy schedules to promote this important message. Our thanks go out to the TV production students of West Shamokin Junior Senior High School, led by their teacher, Mr. Ren Steele. They were our film crew today. Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District. Visit our website for updated information about the district, and have a great week.